Belem Christabel, and today I will be presenting a book titled Compound Effects. Darren Hardy is a successful entrepreneur, author, and former publisher of Success Magazine. In this book, he explains that success is not the result of luck, talent, or sudden breakthrough. Instead, it comes from small decisions we make every day. These decisions may seem insignificant at first, but over time they accumulate to produce either positive or negative results. And the main message of this book is that small, consistent actions lead to extraordinary achievements when repeated over a long period of time. Chapter 1 of the book tells us the meaning of compound effects, and Darren Hardy compares the compound effects to compound interest in finance. That is, when money earns interest, and the interest also earns more interest, the amount grows faster over time. In the same way, our daily actions accumulate and eventually produce remarkable results. The author explains that many people want instant success. They want to become wealthy, fit, and successful overnight. However, real success rarely happens that way. It comes from making wise decisions every day and remaining consistent even when there are no immediate results. For example, reading just 10 pages of a good book every day may not seem like much. After one day, however, you would have read thousands of pages and gained knowledge from many books. However, likewise, studying for 30 minutes every day may not seem impressive today, but after several months, it can lead to excellent academic performance. The lesson from the chapter is that small actions, when repeated consistently, create extraordinary outcomes. And in chapter 2, it talks about choices. Hardy explains that our lives today are the result of the choices we made yesterday, and our future depends on the choices we make today. Many people blame their failures on bad luck, family background, or circumstances. Hardy explains that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond and the decisions we make. We can control how we respond to what happens to us and the decisions we make. He encourages readers to become more aware of our daily choices, because every decision has consequences. Small choices may appear harmless, but over time they shape our future. For example, deciding to save a small amount of money every week may seem unimportant after several years. However, those savings can become a significant financial resource. Similarly, spending excessive time on social media every day may not seem harmful, but over time, your choice it can reduce productivity and delay personal growth. This chapter teaches us that to take responsibility of our decisions and understand that success begins with making better choices every day. Yes, success begins with making better choices every day. And the chapter 3 talks about habits. Yes, according to Hardy, habits determines the direction of our lives. Habits are actions we repeat so often that they become automatic. Good habits lead to success, while bad habits slowly lead to failure. One important point the author makes is that bad habits is usually developed gradually, because the negative effects are not immediate. It doesn't happen immediately. People often ignore them until the consequences become more serious. Hardy recommends identifying both our positive and negative habits. He also suggests keeping record of our daily activities, because tracking our behavior increases self-awareness and accountability. For example, if a student records the number of hours they spent or the number of hours spent studying each day, it becomes easier to recognize areas that need improvement. The main lesson from the book is that lasting success depends on building positive habits and eliminating the negative ones. And the momentum, that is chapter 4. Hardy calls it the big MO, which stands for momentum. He compares momentum to pushing a heavy wheel. At first, moving it requires great effort. However, once the wheel starts rolling, it becomes easier to keep it moving. The same principle applies to our personal lives. Starting a new habit is often difficult. For example, waking up to study or exercising every morning may seem uncomfortable at first, but after several weeks, these activities become easier because momentum has been created. Momentum helps us remain consistent, and consistency is what produces lasting success. The chapter reminds us not to give up simply because progress seems slow in the beginning. That is consistency. Then chapter 5, influences. However, Hardy explains that success is influenced by the people around us and the information we consume and our environment. First, he advises us to spend time with people that inspires us, encourages us, and challenge us to become better. The attitudes of our friends often influence our behavior, which is true. Second, he encourages us to be careful about the information we consume. Books, podcasts, educational videos, and other useful resources may help us grow, while constant exposure to negative and unproductive content can affect our thinking. Finally, he reminds us that our environment also influences our habits. A clean and organized environment often encourages discipline and productivity. The lesson from this book is that we should intentionally choose positive influence because they support our personal growth. And the sixth chapter is acceleration. In the final chapter, Darwin explains that after building good habits and gaining momentum, we could continue improving ourselves instead of becoming complacent. He emphasizes that successful people never stop learning. They continue reading, developing new skills, setting new goals, and looking for ways to improve. Hardy also stresses the importance of discipline. Motivation may disappear, but discipline keeps us moving forward even when we do not feel like working. This chapter encourages us to remain committed to continuous improvement throughout our lives. And here are the lessons I learned from the book. Success does not happen overnight. Small daily actions eventually produce big results. Every choice has consequences, like I said before. Good habits are the foundation of success. Discipline is more reliable than motivation. Positive relationship and learning contributes to growth more important than perfection. After reading this book, my personal reflection is that after reading this book, I realized that achieving success does not require making huge changes all at once. Instead, it requires making small improvements every day. As a student, this means studying consistently instead of waiting until exam. Studying consistently builds makes it easier once the exam comes. Not that I will read everything, all the 15 courses the night before the exam. Instead, the book has taught me that if I remain disciplined and consistent, even small efforts today can produce remarkable results in my future. In conclusion, the compound effect by Darren Hardy teaches that success is built through small, consistent actions repeated over time. Every choice we make, every habit we develop, and every decision we take contributes to the person we eventually become. The book encourages us to take responsibility of our life, remain disciplined, build positive habits, and trust the process, although the results may not appear immediately. Persistence and consistency will eventually lead to success. Thank you for listening. I'll be happy to answer my question.